fellow colors, and I am back with a video for you today. It'll be my second video in this new go around of YouTube, so I hope y'all enjoy it. Today I thought it would be a good idea to do a tag video. That way you can kind of get to know me a little bit, or at least know how I like to color. And I was looking for tags and I came across this cozy coloring tag, and I figured it would be the perfect one to do. And I didn't want to leave you like, not looking at anything, so I'm going to attempt to color in this book. I find it very difficult to color and talk at the same time, but I picked like an easier one, so hopefully this one won't be too bad. And I did pick out a page to do, and so I figured this would be more interesting than just like a straight color by number, but also allow me to kind of not have to think too much. So we'll see how that goes. But let me just get my swatches out and ready. I also have some like rain ambiance going on in the background, so hopefully that's not like too annoying to anyone. But yeah, so just as a like kind of little note, I always use these three things for like every coloring page. So these are my Artex pastels, and then these are my Cali Art pastels, and then of course my beautiful Ohuhus. Okay, I changed the lighting, so hopefully that's better. And then I also changed where my phone stand is. You might see like some shadows. Ooh. Because I don't have like a ring light or anything, so we're just working with what I have available. So hopefully that's not annoying either to anyone. But so I have my questions up here on my iPad, and I will just kind of look over and answer them. So describe your perfect cozy coloring evening is the first question. So for me, my perfect evening would be here at my desk. I have a desk in a room that's pretty much mine. My husband recently moved into it too. He made a desk, and then he's here in the evening. But for the most part, it's just my room, and I like his company most of the time. But yeah, it's here in my room. Obviously if I could make it super ideal, it would be rainy outside. I have like a big window that looks out to the front, and so definitely like a rainy evening, or I could maybe open the blinds, listen to the rain. I usually at night, what I do is I listen to music when we are in here, because my husband will come in here too and we'll hang out together. So listen to music, and we kind of alternate who picks the music. If it's me, it's gonna be Elvis most of the time. Anyone who knows me knows I'm a huge Elvis fan, and so that's usually my go-to music option. I'm also just really into like kind of 80s, 70s music in general, so I've been doing like a lot of Elton John lately, a lot of Queen. Yeah, I definitely like music from kind of that era more than modern music, at least at the moment. But and then if my husband picks, it'll be like a video game soundtrack. So that's probably less ideal, I guess, but it's not too bad. I've kind of gotten used to that music. So but yeah, and then I don't know, question number one kind of encompasses the next questions too, so I'm not going to spend too long on that. But number two is cozy coloring companion. So this is like, what do you like to listen to or watch? When I color in the daytime, like now, except I'm filming a video, so not now. But in the daytime, I usually will watch YouTube. That's kind of my time to get caught up with all my favorite YouTubers. And then if I finish those, I've been doing a Disney and Pixar animated movie marathon, because I will be going to Disney World in a few months, and as like kind of a countdown, I've been just personally like watching through all their animated movies, and so I've been doing like on average one a weekday, and so I usually carve out space for that in my day to do. And after that, I voice note with a few friends, so I will try to take the time to get back to them if I have any to respond to and listen to those, you know. I can't color in voice note, but I can listen to voice notes in color, so I'll do that. And then if I've done all that and I'm still coloring during the day, then I'll turn on music. Number 3, what is your favorite snack or drink while coloring specifically? Which I don't like to snack while I color. I just find that would be kind of difficult to do. Like, it couldn't be anything even remotely like messy or sticky or anything. So I honestly like don't really snack and color. But I do drink while I color. Usually water, but if it's in the morning, I'll have my daily cup of coffee with me, and then if it's the evening, sometimes I will do a dirty coconut Dr. Pepper, and so for me that just means a can of coconut flavored Dr. Pepper, and then I will usually add in some coconut flavored creamer too. Because yeah, I've definitely been into the dirty soda thing. That's kind of gotten popular. So number 4, coloring ritual. Oh, do I have like any kind of coloring ritual that I do before I start coloring? No. I always like to make sure that like my desk right here is clean, obviously, because it would be difficult to color if it wasn't. So if it's messy, I will clean it. Usually that's something I would do like after I'm done with the coloring session, so it's usually not anything I have to worry about. Did I write something else? Oh yeah, I like to make sure my window blinds are open. Because yeah, like I said, I have a window, like a pretty big window that faces out to the front, and it brings in a lot of good natural lighting, and so I always make sure that's open, and so that way I don't have to turn on my lamps right away in the morning, and really not until it gets dark outside. So my favorite place to color, so that would be here at my coloring desk. But some of you might know, up until April, I think it was, I actually colored only on the couch. I didn't have a desk. I just had like a lap desk, and then I had my Ohuhu markers face up in one of those 3-tier rolling carts, and so that was just next to the couch, and I would just color on my lap desk. And then I don't know, I just decided it was high time that I get myself a desk and like the marker organizers, and so I finally did that in April. And we had the spare bedroom, and so it was just being unused, and so I was like, well, let me put it to use. And ever since April, I have been coloring in here at this desk, and I absolutely love it. I feel like I'm more productive, my back doesn't hurt. It's much better, so definitely here. And then I still color on the couch. I'll usually do like my color by numbers out on the couch, because I have those markers separated into like just a little tote I can carry around, and that's usually what I'll do at night now, is a color by number on the couch. But I would still say my desk is like my favorite place to color. And then what coloring book feels like a warm hug? Okay, I have things to show now. A warm hug, I brought 2 out. Number 1 is Matchstick Mouse Summer, and this one feels like a warm hug because it was my very first Matchstick Mouse book, and so I was able to do a lot in it because it was not only my first Matchstick Mouse book, but it was my first book for a long time. When I first started coloring, I got this book, I got a Disney Color by Number, and I got Country Chibis by Alexandra Francis. And these were like the only books I owned for a long, long time. And so this book just, you know, first of all, it's Matchstick. Like, she's adorable. But it just reminds me of my color, like my, you know, when I first started coloring. And yeah, definitely that one. And then my second pick is 90s Cuties by Dee Dee Plums, which I got this for Christmas, and I got it from my parents, which that's my answer for why it feels like a hug. Yeah, I think this was maybe, it wasn't the first coloring book that they bought me, but it was like kind of, you know, they haven't bought me many books because I buy my own books. And so I just like, for some reason, really like relate this one to them. But yeah, there's those two. And then the next question is, what artist's style makes you feel cozy? And I don't have an example because my answer for this one's kind of funny. My answer is Colored Caramel. Specifically their newest books, like their last, I want to say like maybe 8 releases. That style is so cozy to me. It makes me so like warm and fuzzy inside anytime I see a page. And I hadn't owned one, and I don't know why. Well, part of that is probably because I have been very, very limited on my buying of coloring books this year, and I feel like they just kind of started this new style that I really liked kind of the end of last year. And so I don't have any, but I changed that in the time that I wrote this because I ordered 2 like 2 days ago, and so those are going to come in tomorrow, and I'm really excited. I got Spooky Cuties, and I got their newest one. It's like Spooky Clumsy, I think it is. And so yeah, I'm finally gonna have 2. I figured, you know, I'm gonna put them as this answer. I need their books now. I mean, there's just no excuse. So yeah, very excited for those to come in. And I would say that's definitely, yeah, definitely the artist that makes me feel coziest. Next question is, what coloring book would you take on a weekend getaway? And for that one, I brought out this book, Uno by Eclipse / AJ Quinnell. If that's how you pronounce his name, I'm not exactly sure, but definitely my answer is a color by number, just because I have those markers separated. They'd be really, really easy to pack up and take with me. And then this one is obviously, you know, pretty small in size. Ooh, wow. Look how I haven't, oh my goodness. I haven't colored in this book since February of 24. That is a shame. I need to get on it. Yeah, I love this book. I think they're so pretty. And this was actually my first book by him too. But yeah, you know, this one's small, it's portable, so this is kind of like my representation of color by numbers. I would probably take any of them, assuming I had, you know, the room for them. But yeah, definitely a color by number. And then let's see. Oh, okay, another show and tell. What unfinished page do you keep meaning to return to? So I do not do whips. I don't like doing whips. And then with alcohol marker coloring, you don't really need to do whips. But I used to do a lot of more detailed coloring, and maybe one day I'll return to that, maybe not. But I only have 2 whips ever. So I just figured I'd show them to you. One is in A Million Secretures by Lulu Mayo. And like, I do have finished pages in here. I used to like coloring with pencils, but I've changed, and I'm kind of sad about it. But this one, God, I would love to finish this. I don't even have the colors written down for this or anything, but yeah, it's kind of like a Christmassy page. I did the background. That would be the hardest part, right? It kind of sucked though, because I was assuming, these are gel sticks, I think. I was assuming that they'd be easy enough to go over with pencil, and I was wrong. It's pretty difficult. Like, you can do it, but it's kind of a challenge. So that's part of it. But yeah, this was right around the time I just really stopped liking colored pencils. So maybe one day I'll come back. We will see. I do really like this book, so it's kind of a shame. And then my next book is Mandalas by Disney, Hatchet Heroes. And so, again, I do have finished pages in this book, and I love this book. I love how they look when they're done. Here's another one. Love it, love it. But here is my whip. The reason I stopped working on this one is because this guy, I forget what his name is, Agent something, I don't remember. But he's just very like dark and gray, and then Jamba I think is gonna be kind of like, you know, grays too. So I was just getting bored with it. Like there's not a lot of contrast, I feel like. So yeah, that's why. And then I will admit, like, coloring the same guy like 4 times is kind of a lot. It's not the most enjoyable thing to do. So yeah, man, I do want to finish this one day, and I'd like to, you know, start kind of regularly working in this book again. Something like this is so easy, and that would look so cute. So oh, or Winnie the Pooh, he's my favorite. I need to come back to it, I really do. But here's another one I did. I like that one a lot. So one day I will come back to this. I don't necessarily intend to go back to the Million Sea Creatures one anytime soon, but okay. And then what is your ultimate cozy color palette? Definitely any kind of Christmas palette, but specifically like very classic Christmas. Red, green, gold. Like that's such a winner every single time. So that one for sure. And then non-Christmassy, I would say a rainbow color palette. I've done rainbow so many times that like I know exactly what colors I like for a rainbow palette. So I don't really have to think about them too much. I just grab them and go. And then a rainbow palette always looks really good. It's just perfectly colorful, and it's fun, and it's easy to do. So yeah, definitely those two. What color do you reach for again and again? So I mean, my answer is really basic. It's light browns and light blues and greens. And that's 100% because like blue for the sky and water, green for greenery, and then browns throughout pages. So it's kind of a boring answer, but that's just the truth. Blue is my favorite color. I will say my favorite Ohuhu color to use is this BV05 cornflower. This is my favorite color in the whole world. And it's more of like a periwinkle color than a blue. I do reach for that one pretty often, if you know there's a good space to use it. But yeah, definitely just kind of natural colors for what I reach for a lot. And then what color feels the most you? Maybe that cornflower that I just pulled out, because I don't know, I just love it so much. It's kind of like muted, and it's not really blue, it's not really purple. I don't know, like I just like the vibes it gives off. I'd also say any kind of like misty blue color, like a very light misty blue, because it reminds me of like a misty fall morning, which are my absolute favorites. And so yeah. And then what color combination feels cozy? Anyone who knows me at all will know my answer. Yellow and blue, 100,000%. I love yellow and blue together. I think they always look good together. And I'm talking like, I mean really any yellow and blue, but I mean like primary yellow and like kind of, if you know Ohuhus, this B070 Tahitian blue, it might be called something else in the new color code, but those are like so good together. I love them every single time. They always look good to me. So like that same blue and then like a primary red together. So clearly I like my primary colors. I wouldn't say I like them all three together. It's either blue and red or blue and yellow. I do think they look good to like all three too, but they don't hit me like blue and yellow or blue and red. So number 5 is, what season describes me best? I would say winter describes me best. And my reasoning for that is I like to stay in. I'm definitely a homebody. I prefer the indoors. I prefer the cold. We always keep our house at, I don't know what temperature. I don't control it really. I mean, like, I have input, I just don't mess with it. But anytime like we compare the inside temperature of our house to anyone else, they're like, oh my goodness, you guys keep it cold. So yeah, I like it cold. I like to stay inside. I like being cozy. So definitely I feel like that means winter probably describes me best. What supply brings you the most joy to use? Alcohol markers, 100%. If I have to get specific, I would say my Cali art pastels actually bring me the most joy to use, because I was just telling Freya this the other day, but I feel like my whole goal in coloring is to use my nice expensive alcohol markers as little as possible. So when I'm using a Cali art pastel, not only is it like a really good marker, especially considering, you know, the price of them, it's just like kind of a weight off my mind that I'm not using like Ohuhu ink or Artex ink. So yeah, that is my answer. Any alcohol marker, but specifically Cali art pastels are like my fave to use. And then what supply gives you nostalgia? And I do have a show and tell for this one too, but let me finish this section first. But another thing that I actually don't have any of are crayons. I have no crayons in this house. I thought about, for this video, doing like that nostalgia coloring where you color like you did when you were a kid with like crayons and markers. And then I was like, you know what? We don't own any crayons. So I feel like that needs to change. The answer that I do have, I can get out now. And that is pipsqueaks, which I'm sure plenty of y'all are familiar with these, but I had a set of these pipsqueaks as a kid, and I just thought they were the coolest thing. I loved how little they were. And so I bought some as an adult. Like, they're just little Crayola markers. I don't think I've used them yet, but like I do use like super tips in my Disney colored by number books, and so the idea was that maybe I would use these in those books at some point. I have yet to do that, but they make me happy just to have them. Totally reminds me of my childhood. So what is your special occasion coloring supply? I would definitely say my Languo gel pens. I got a big set for, you know what, I think I just bought it. I got the glitter ones for Christmas, but the regular ones are what I'm talking about, and those I did just buy. I finally broke down and got them. I used to use those in Disney Color by Number, but I really didn't enjoy it. And so I was like, you know what? Coloring is supposed to be something I enjoy, and I don't enjoy doing this, so I quit doing that. But I use them now just for like outlining or adding, you know, accents on coloring pages, and I only do that when I'm feeling really, really fancy and trying to make a page look really, really good. So, yeah, definitely those Languo gel pens. And then, oh, stickles is another answer. And I have a lot of stickles and they're not terribly expensive here, but my reasoning is that they take time to dry and I'm very impatient. So I will only bring those out if I really want to add the sparkle, which, you know, I would consider that a special occasion. And then lastly, I said stickers, which I should bring some of these out. They're right here. Not these are like gift tags. But I like to add little stickers in my pages. But like I have these little circles and stars, mainly circles. I just find that sometimes there'll be a background that's kind of empty looking, and then I'll be like, hey, I could add some circle stickers. And so I have those. I also, from Ollie's, I just not too long ago got this. And the point is you have these pages and you're supposed to put the corresponding stickers into them to make a scene. But I've actually just been like pulling out the fish and the animals and putting them on the backgrounds of coloring pages. So if there's like an ocean background, and I feel like it's a little empty, I'll take out, you know, a fish or whatever and add it in. So next question is, what is your favorite lazy day coloring supply? Like when I don't want to do a whole lot or think a whole lot, I just kind of want to get color onto a page. Still alcohol markers. I mean, that's really all I use. I would definitely say like, you know, more budget ones, because obviously, like I was saying, I don't feel as stressed if I'm not using like really nice ones. So yeah, my Cali Art pastels for sure. I also I don't have them to show with me right now, they're in the other room, but I do have the Ohuhu Cowie markers, and I use those in my color by number. And those are very budget friendly and very good to me too. They're like kind of like a student grade Ohuhu alcohol marker, and so I really like those. And then of course my super tips are also always a good option. Anything like that, you know, like you don't have to think about super tips really, you just kind of get in there and go and accept that they're gonna have streaks, and that's okay. Then what supply surprised you and became a favorite? I do have one thing to show for this. This is a glitter gel pen, and it's the Master's Touch brand from Hobby Lobby. And I was actually gifted these, and when I opened them, I was like, okay, just like some cheapo, some cheapo glitter gel pens, sure. They're fantastic. I mean, they're right up there. Outside of like the Languo shiny gel pens, I would say these are maybe the best gel pens I own. Like, they completely took me by surprise. Okay, here's one. This red gel pen. I have more colors. This is from the Dollar Tree. Again, it was a gift, and again, I was like, really? Like, not like I was appreciative, but I was like, I'm sure like those aren't really gonna be anything that I use a lot. They're amazing. They're incredible. I actually sent Jenny a pack of these because I was like, you need to try these out. They're so good for $1. I forget how many you get, but yeah, they work like shockingly well. I should like show some of these off, I guess. And you know, like I said, like they're not anything to write home about. I mean, they kind of are though, because it's their price point is what I'm getting at. Like, they're so affordable, especially the Dollar Tree ones. I don't know how well the camera's gonna pick up the glitter, but like, they're great pens for the price. And so those are both definitely favorites. The Languo shiny pens, I wasn't sure about. I didn't buy them, I bought them for Christmas. I put them on a gift list, and I was like, well, you know, if I get them, then I'll be able to try them out. Love those, absolutely a favorite. And then the metallic Jelly Roll pens are so good. These, I love these. I don't feel like I often find places to use them, but when I do, I love them. They go on very smooth. They're my favorite of like the Jelly Roll pens, and so yeah, those are my favorites. Coloring personality. Are you a slow, cozy colorist or a chaotic start 10 pages colorist? Definitely slow. I am absolutely not one to like start several pages. Very rarely do I do that. I actually am doing it now because I started a page last night and didn't finish it. Ordinarily, I would have finished it first thing today, but I didn't want to try to have to think about that page during this video. So I'm pausing it and doing this one, which I'm sure I won't finish this. So then I'll have 2 on the go. But like outside of situations like this, I never in a million years would start 2 pages. I will usually have like a color by number going, but like I said, I only really work on those at nighttime, and so they're just like 2 different things for me. I don't really consider them to be the same. So yeah, otherwise, like, I would never pick out like 2, you know, kind of alcohol marker books and start 2 back to back. So definitely slow, definitely, yeah, starting 1, finishing 1. And like, I'm slow with the amount of time it takes me to, I feel like. Like, I will hear people say like, oh, this kind of page will only take me like an hour or 2 hours tops. And I'm like, that page would take me a minimum of 3. Like, I'm just really slow. I don't know if it's because I get distracted easily or if I'm just really slow at like picking out colors. I don't know, but yeah, I'm slow in like every sense of the word when it comes to coloring. Do you save your favorite pages because you're afraid you'll ruin them? No, I wouldn't say that I do that, at least not on purpose. I will say I usually don't start with my favorite page in a book because I kind of like to break the book in first, if that makes sense. So I won't do it first, but I definitely won't like save it, you know, like I would definitely have no problem doing my favorite page like 2nd or 3rd in a book. So yeah, I don't save them. I did say that I will save the ones I like somewhat, because if I'm doing, say, a project book, I don't want to pick all my favorites up front and then I have like, you know, some percentage of the book left to do and they're all my least favorites. Because then it would be really difficult to like want to get through it. And so I would definitely say that, like, in the case of a project book, I try to kind of evenly space out pages that are not my favorite and then pages that are my favorite, to keep it interesting and keep me motivated to keep working in it. Do you have any coloring books that you mostly just look through? Definitely Lulu. Unfortunately, I only have 2. I mean, I have House of Wonders and the cute and cozy coloring self-care, whatever that book is called. I have those. So I do color in those, but in terms of like the, you know, the double-sided ones, I only have this one, and then I have A Million Monsters, which is untouched, which is horrible. But yeah, definitely just look through these. And then I also have a couple of books that I got off of Amazon Japan way back in the day, and they're all untouched except for an advent that I did in the back of one of them, but this is just an example. Yeah, no. This page is crazy daunting. Like, look at that. Look at that. Look at this. Like, I could never. It's funny that I even bought these. But there was clearly like a time in my life where I thought I might be doing something like this, but I have not. So at this point in time, these are definitely just something I look through and appreciate the artwork. And then I also have a bunch of Joanna Basford books that I really don't ever color in. So those 2, those are all ones that I just look through. What is your weirdest coloring habit? Okay, it's not on display right now because I'm, you know, kind of coloring this weird because I'm on camera. But when I color, let me just do an example. What I would typically do is I would say, you know, the pink, and I would color the pink. I'd set the marker aside, and then I would do the green, and I would color the green, set that aside, and then the yellow. And then after 3 colors, so the yellow, I would then take the pink and then I would shade it. So I would get my darker pink and I would, you know, shade the butterfly or whatever. And then I would get a fresh color out. And so I have like this 3-color rotating system. And that, like, I do that because it gives the markers enough time to dry to then go over the top with the shade or whatever. Obviously, if I'm doing like blending, that would be different. But in terms of just coloring like this, where I'm just coloring it in and then I'm gonna go back and do a little shading on top, I do like 3 markers at a time and then I shade and then add a new marker, shade, add a new marker. So I don't know, it's kind of regimented. I feel like that might be kind of weird. But that's the only thing I could think of. So do you plan your pages or follow your mood? I took this question to mean like, do I plan out how I will color them? Because I do plan my pages for the most part. I do a lot of buddy colors. I'm in a lot of groups. And so I pretty much have my month pretty well planned out for me before the month starts. But if it's in terms of like how I'm planning on coloring a page, I usually just kind of go for it. I don't really, like, I'm not much of a color palette person. I am doing a color palette challenge now that I'm running. And I like to do, I'd say like maybe 1 or 2 color palettes a month, just to kind of make it easier to think about. But in general, I just kind of go for it. So yeah, I would say I don't really plan my pages in the sense that, you know, I don't plan how I color them, but I definitely do plan like what pages I do every month. Next question is, what is your earliest memory of coloring or creating? So actual memory, I don't know. I do, well, it says or creating. I do have this memory of my cousin. He's quite a bit older than me, maybe 10, maybe 12 years older than me. He had come to visit us and I was maybe 6 or 7 and he came to visit and he's an artist. He still is. He's an art teacher today, but he drew this picture and he gave it to me. And after he left, I remember I would pull it out of its plastic like sheet and I would erase little sections of his line work and then I'd go in and I would redo it. I don't know if that counts, but I was like, look, I'm an artist too. I can recreate what he did. So yeah, that's probably like you know, kind of my earliest memory. My parents do have, or at least I think they still have it. I don't know. I know they had it at least a few years ago. This coloring book that was mine when I was a really little, like, you know, kid, and it was a Teletubbies coloring book. And so I don't have memories of that, but it's there. It's, you know, it's with us somewhere, I think. And then I do remember like coloring in school, and I actually, for the longest time, didn't really do the like outline and a marker and color in with the crayon thing. That was for like the popular girls to do, which I was not. At least that's how it was at my school. I eventually started doing that because I wanted to look cool, but I did not do that at first. And then, what childhood creative activity would you bring back? I want to give a big shout out to Amy Katz's colors on this one. I just watched her version of this tag and I had already written out my answers for it, but I was like, when I wrote them out, I was like, I have literally no idea. Like, I don't even know what a creative childhood activity is. And she mentioned multiple of them in her video and I was like, oh yeah, okay. But I guess my answer is very similar to hers. I still do a lot of mine. I also still do Legos. I obviously color. I have done perler beads very recently. It's, I don't know what they're called, okay, but at camp, there used to be these things, and they were just called lanyards. So I don't know if they have a different name, but that's what we called them. And you buy this, like, specific material to make them. I'm gonna be so bad at describing this. But it's like a rubbery, like, flat string almost. And then you, like, braid them into these colorful keychains. If anyone knows what the heck I'm talking about, let me know. But maybe that, because I haven't done that as an adult, and I used to do it quite a bit. So maybe that one would be my answer. What supply would younger you be shocked that you own now? Alcohol markers, 100%, because I used to do a lot of illustrating as a teenager. So when I was like, I would say from age 11, 12 until I left for college at 18, I did a lot of drawing. And so I would draw primarily Disney characters. And I even did it in college a little bit. But what I would do is I would draw the Disney characters, and then I would ink them, and then I would color them in with alcohol markers or colored pencils. So I had the full set of polychromos around that age. I had the full set of Prismacolors. Don't worry, I had to work hard for them. My parents did not just buy them for me. But I had those. But my dream was to have the full range of Copic markers. And this dream was perpetuated because I think that's the right word, but I would go to Disneyland and I would see they would have these animators sitting at a desk that you can go up and watch. And they would always have the full, like, so many Copic markers that they would ink their drawings with. And so I was like, I want to be like them, and I want to have all these Copics. And back then, Copics were like the only alcohol marker option. Ohuhus were not a thing yet. There might have been like some different, like, really budget ones, but like Ohuhus were the alcohol markers. Like, if you had alcohol markers, that's what you were talking about. And so I always dreamed of having the full set, which, you know, I mean, I do not have the full set of Copics. Those are dang expensive. As a kid, I did probably get a collection of up to maybe 30 of them. Which, you know, that was a great collection for me, you know, and I used them all the time in my coloring, you know, when I colored in my drawings. But I would just be so thrilled and shocked as a kid to know that now I have the full set of Ohuhus and that they are, in my opinion, better than Copics. I do have maybe about 60 Copics now, and I 1000% prefer the Ohuhus. So yeah, I would just be thrilled to know that information. And thrilled to know that a new option came about. But let's see. What page or book reminds you of a specific time in your life? These. So this is the first one. This is like the very first book. This is the book that got me into adult coloring. I got it for Christmas in 2022. And I asked for it because I was kind of getting back into drawing at the time. And so this is a book where you do draw. And so I asked for this for Christmas, and then I didn't touch it until I don't know when. Well, I colored it, I guess, a little bit that Christmas. Yeah. Not very much. But then one day, in like, I want to say March of 2023, I was like, I am so bored. And Caleb, my husband, was like, well, how about you go color that book you got for Christmas? And I was like, yeah, okay. So I went and I sat down and I just had like random little sets of like water-based markers that I happen to own. And I was like, yeah, okay. Went and colored, and I was like, I colored it for a few days in a row, and then I got into the coloring YouTube where I was watching people. That's how I found out about Matchstick Mouse, about Alexander Franzese, and I was like, I want to try some of these other books. And it all went downhill from there. So, whenever my husband complains about me spending money on coloring, I'm like, well, you got me into this hobby. But yeah, that book reminds me kind of that time where I kind of really got into coloring. And then Island Cuties. This reminds me of when we bought this house and moved in, because like I think it was the night that we got our couch. We sat down and we watched a movie, and I colored this page. And like, I know I colored this one right after we moved in. It was June of 2023. All of these I colored right as we moved in, so. And then what has coloring taught you about yourself? I would say the primary thing is that I am a perfectionist. I'm definitely a perfectionist. I find it very difficult to like kind of, skimp out on a page. I like everything to be done very, very well, and yeah, that's what it's taught me. It's also, on the more positive, not that being a perfectionist is negative necessarily, but more positive, it has taught me too that I can be creative. Amy said that, so shout out to you again, Amy, if you're watching. I have always said that like I'm not a very creative person. I just feel like it's something I kind of struggle with. Like, I was saying that I used to draw a lot as a kid, and a teenager, and I would just color, like I would draw Disney characters, and so like I wasn't really coming up with something. I was just doing something that already was, but coloring has really expanded my creativity, I think, and allowed me to, find my creativity. And so, yeah, on the more positive side, I would say that's definitely a byproduct of me doing adult coloring for sure. This color is too dark, in case anyone was wondering. I should have gone like a shade lighter, but okay, last 3 questions. Number 1, my dream coloring room. So I do really like my setup that I have here. I have a really nice desk, I have a big window, I have a room. I love it. It's perfect. The only thing I would change about it is I would put more fairy lights everywhere. I don't have any fairy lights in here, and I love fairy lights. So I would definitely add those. And then I would make the whole room nice. This room has some issues. There's like an unused TV in the corner sitting on an unused TV stand. So I would get rid of that. I would put more art up on the walls. That kind of thing. So it's getting there for sure. Definitely like this room could end up being my dream coloring room. I just have to do some TLC to it. Is that what they say? Number 2, if you could color anywhere in the world. Okay, so my like fun, interesting answer is Japan. I've always wanted to go to Japan. We're thinking about making a trip happen out there, maybe next year or the next. Maybe, it kind of depends what life brings to us, but yeah, definitely like, I mean, would I color in Japan for real? No, I wouldn't. I'd just be focused on Japan, but, if, like, yeah, I guess it'd be cool to color in Japan, like, get a little book and find a cafe or something. But my more boring answer is Disney World. My dream is to move to Florida and live in Florida and be like Disney World annual pass holders, and so I think it would be super cool to like pack up, you know, a color by number and my markers and head on over to the park and just color. Like, how fun would that be? So yeah, that's my like more basic answer. Because I don't know about you, but like whenever it's like, where in the world, I feel like I have to go outside of the US. Like I can just say, oh, you know, Florida. But last question, if you could step inside any coloring book, which one would it be? I have another book for this. I had the hardest time thinking about this. I was like, I don't know. But then it came to me. My husband bought me this book, which I don't color in it. So this could also go for which book do I just look through. It's too detailed. It's double-sided. I'm never gonna color this, but man, I would love to meet Elvis. One of my saddest things in life is that I was never alive at the same time as Elvis. Look at this one. He's literally like reading the book. But yeah, I was like, well, if I was in this book, then I would get to meet him. So that's my answer, Elvis the coloring book. But yeah. Okay, that is all the questions. This has been going for nearly an hour, so yeah, stay tuned on my Instagram and my completed pages. I will definitely get this one finished up so that I can share it on there. But yeah, I hope you found this interesting and informative. If you want to answer any of these questions, please do. I will try to put them in the description, like a blank copy if anyone wants to use that, or just let me know in the comments what your answers are to any of these. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed, and thank you so much for watching and spending an hour with me today. I'm gonna try to upload every Wednesday, so definitely stay tuned for that. And yeah, I will chat with you all later. Bye.